Hey everybody, welcome back to another iiRcade Gamedaze actually live, right? So I'm back here in person in real time, seeing you all, which is great too. It's good to be back, you know. I do like doing the shorter shows too, but you know, they also are time consuming in their own way. So I have to do a lot of different content for those that I have to throw together on the fly, usually things like that. But yeah, so let's see. I see chat's popping off. Happy Friday. It's good to see you all. Thanks for tuning in. So nothing too special today, right? So we got 3 new games online on the store right now, right? So we got Twin Brats as well as, let's see here. Wow, I should remember my list all the time. I never do, I swear to you. Twin Brats, Bang Bang Busters, and the Cliffhanger Edward Randy, right? So those are the 3 online games today. Nothing else new, no other new releases, but I still did want to do a live show with you today. Just so, you know, we'll do some actual live Q&A. It's nice to you know, do it in person, you know. Your voices are heard, I promise you that. So I do see everything that always goes on in the community forums, on YouTube, on the interwebs, everywhere, as well as right here, right? So it's great to see this. So we'll do some actual live Q&A too. Some other things that I want to talk to you all about too, of course, right? So it's time to hit all that stuff, right? So I saw a question, let's see, about Karate Champ player versus player too. I don't know, somewhere in my chat. Anyway, it's scrolling a little bit too fast for me right now to catch it up. But yeah, Karate Champ player versus player is the actual true arcade version that's accurate. However, we did opt to switch our controls to do a 2-player versus mode because clearly we don't have 4 sticks on the cabinet for 2 dual stick fighters. So for now, that is the option for Karate Champ player versus player. So if you are looking to pick that up, yes, do be aware that is joystick and 2 buttons for each player. Whereas it's normally two joysticks per each player, right? So we opted to do that. However, in the future, who knows, right? We might still change that up and we might be able to do, you know, 2 different sets of controls possibly, right? Again, software is a tricky thing. There's a lot of software changes that we're doing all the time, right? So with that, actually, we can segue easily into software. I can talk about software first today, right? Why not? So there is going to be a system update coming out soon-ish, right? So it's going to be pushed to some test gold cabs first. So gold editions that are out there in the market are going to get these first just to make sure that everything's good on them before we push it live to everybody else. This does come with a lot more changes for gold, not as many changes for standard. However, there's a couple different things, right? Including a favorites feature that's been long awaited, right? Everybody wants that favorites feature that you can just mark the games that you want, unmark them anytime you want, and they'll appear in their favorites tab, which is going to be on the very top left or the farthest left, if you will, too, even before the recents. So yes, a favorites is coming featured for the cab itself too on the launcher. That will be in the next patch. So just as a heads up for that, fun features, a lot more back-end features too, as well as really significantly improved online functionality for connections, especially, right? So that's a big one that's coming in the next, as well as the favorites feature too. So those are really the 2 big things to watch out for. There's pesky error messages you keep seeing, especially with server-based online play versus peer-to-peer online play right now too. Those are gone. Those are taken care of. Those are fixed again. So shout out to everybody for letting me know that. Yeah, so we've looked into that a lot more. We've tested that heavily. So that's gone. It's working well now too, as well as just generally connecting better more frequently, which is great too. Again, online alpha, of course, like we said, it's probably going to stick through the alpha through the end of the summer and probably into fall. That's what we anticipated no matter what. And then, of course, there's still features coming for online play that we haven't discussed yet, right? So we'll get to that. Probably not today. However, very soon in the upcoming weeks. So I'm looking forward to that stuff. But yeah, with that, that's more updates for the system itself, right? Beyond that, let's see, what other questions? Do I have any questions on system update stuff? Sorry, I have not been watching my chat. That's literally the reason I'm here is to check chat. And I'm not even doing it, you know, of course. I'm such a great streamer. I'm so sorry, guys. Let me see here. How's Zhong? Is he back from Korea? Zhong is not back from Korea right now. He is still in Korea currently. However, he might be back in coming soonish, right? So yes, we do still have the event planned, in planning, I should say, right? For the golden ticket winner, right? The golden ticket winner still doesn't know who they are. Remember, it was number 3 in that drawing a while back with Zhong and Colin on the live stream that they randomly spun. That is a randomly selected winner live in person. I can't tell you who that is yet too, because I want it to be a surprise for them, right? So I do know who it is. I'm really excited to hopefully see them in person as long as they accept their ticket, right? So yeah, I'm excited to finally meet them in person, along with everybody else who can attend the Game of Brew Night along with them whenever that's happening. So stay tuned with that. Probably more info on that next week, actually, in the coming week, especially very hard-coded date, along with things shipping out like the hoodies, the t-shirts and stuff. Keep an eye out for those. Again, I'm still missing a couple t-shirt and hoodie sizes from people too. So do check your email. I see Shoeshine in the chat. I'm going to call you out, Shoeshine. I sent you like 3 emails. I don't have your size for your shirt. So make sure that you check for an email from contact@iiRcade.com. Check your email for your iiRcade account. That's where it was sent to. So make sure that I have your size so that I can actually ship that stuff to you for the gold edition pre-orders for those who were in the first couple hundreds, right? That we're sending out, right? So I know Shoeshine in particular. I don't know anybody else necessarily, but I know I see the name in chat all the time. That's why. So do check your email. But yeah, otherwise they're ordered, things like that. They're on their way, coming to me, and then I get to ship them out with my CS team, right? Let's see other things. Yes, favorites feature. Yeah, okay, cool, sweet. Yes. The UI is ugly. I hope that improves as well. Yes, we've talked about the Scuttles Arcade. We will have UI improvements coming later on this year, right? That is a thing, a UI UX overhaul in general, but it's very tricky, right? So we've had this plan. This takes a lot of time, right? Not only because we're adding features constantly right now too, right? We are updating things like a favorites feature, right? That's something else that has to get into the user experience and user interface, right? So now that we're sort of approaching feature completion, especially, this gets really kicked into high gear for this year, which is great. I'm really excited for it. Yeah, most people say it's functional for the UI right now too. I would agree, but it's not the prettiest thing, and I would like to improve it. And of course, we're doing that as we've mentioned. So yeah, look forward to that later on this year for the UI stuff. And with that comes ease of access and stuff. But of course, comes a brand new UI for the game store, as well as probably the website as well too, because it all has to be one cohesive thing. It's very moving together kind of thing. There's a lot of moving parts that go into that. It's not just like, make this look pretty. Yeah, it doesn't work quite that way, right? So unfortunately, there's a lot of things that go into UX UI. So it just takes a little bit of time. Any news on that? Yeah, sorry, I see the questions now. There you go. Online lobby tab in the works. Yes, we've heard you along for the weeks now. Yes, we are trying to implement a global lobby system for online play. How that looks, I can't get into quite yet, but yes, it is in the works heavily right now. Along with that, of course, is other things that we want in there, probably a friends list feature and things, right, to easily connect you to people. Beyond that, keep in mind, remember too, the home arcade community in general for online play, we don't have as big of an access to huge pools of millions and millions of players quite yet, right? And with that, online feature play, it's really about connecting with people that you already know, your buddies, or meeting friends online, right? So hit the communities online, hit the online forums and stuff like that. Meet some people online, meet some people who might, I don't know, in person too. We do go to expos and things like that too, so keep that in mind. I'll actually be at an upcoming expo in September still again this year. We got invited back to the Cleveland Gaming Classic, so I'll actually be there. It's a pretty easy drive for me. I like going. It's a fun time. It's a bigger venue this year too, so yeah, check out the Cleveland Gaming Classic as well too. End of September this year. You will see me live in person if you want to come see me. Yeah, I'll be there with some machines and stuff like that, some gold editions to play, have some fun, some tournaments, some prizes, things like that. Let's see. What other questions do I got going on right now, too, before I get into my next topic, right? Let's see. Global leaderboards have been down. Yes. So global leaderboards, I am aware that they're having some issues in games right now, too. Totally aware. The reason being is that we're actually changing over the global leaderboard system right now. So I'm going to keep this on screen. Might as well while I'm talking about it. Yes, we are actually changing the back end of global leaderboards right now. So you might see some issues occurring. We're kind of weeding out a lot of that right now, too. Yes. But for a lot of the more modern-based games especially, right, we're sort of rehooking them up to the servers and stuff. So Dragon's Lair, Space Ace, I think I saw Doling's Arcade, of course, is on there too. Some others too. Yeah, you might notice them down for a little bit. We're fixing that. That's actually on our end right now too, as well as partially the developers that we might need to contact in order to get them back up and running too. So not too big of an issue right now. However, yes, something to be aware of. Yeah, we are doing some things with global leaderboards, and I won't quite give the full mention of what's going on with that quite yet. However, yes, sneak peek of that. That is coming as well in the upcoming update, along with those other features that we talked about, like the favorites and improvements to online, right? All right. Anything else pressing? Let me see here. Shoeshine, you didn't order? Okay, maybe I thought it was you. Maybe it wasn't you. I swear I saw your name on the list. I'm so sorry. Okay. Anyway, we'll get to more Q&A later on too. That's why I'm here today, honestly, is for just pure Q&A too. We'll keep it brief and short. But yeah, beyond that too, I did want to talk about, people ask me all the time too, what are my favorite games on the system, right? With no new games today, I still want to talk about the games that we do have available currently. We do have a lot of new people coming in every single day now too, which is great to see. More and more machines out there in the wild. That's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly what we want to see, right? So with that comes brand new people, right? Getting used to the system. They haven't been here since the start, right? So because of that, there's a lot of things that need improving on the store website, the store itself too, to find those and locate those games that you want, right? So better features that we're working on the back end to implement. However, until then, let's go over some of the games that I like, right? So people ask me this all the time. So here's kind of my top 5 games that are currently on the system that I actually do play pretty frequently at home. I haven't had time recently, but I do appear a lot on these leaderboards and stuff. So the first one I want to talk about is my all-time favorite because I'm a score chaser. I'm a high score guy. Let's see here. There we go. Truxton. Let me know if it's too loud for you guys. If you can't hear me over Truxton 2, you can adjust the volume. But yeah, Truxton 1 specifically, not even Truxton 2, right? Truxton 2 is a cheater one for me because it has the auto fire in. And yes, Truxton 1 now does have auto fire. We do have the accessibilities feature in there for you. However, Truxton 1 is one of my favorite score chasers of all time. It's one of the best shoot 'em ups in my opinion, for sure. The way that it progresses throughout the level system, cycles back through, the way that power-ups work, way ahead of its time. I love this game. Hyper challenging. It's pretty frequent go in the thing, but however, you can actually control the speed of your fire. This is a rapid button succession. It is an absolute endurance trial of an arcade game. That's why I love Truxton. I'm an absolute glutton for punishment. That's why I like a lot of these score chasers. You'll probably notice that with the other games that I'm talking about today too. However, Truxton available in case you've missed it, in case you're new here. Something to play, something to try. If you're a high score chaser, especially, and a shoot 'em up fan, Truxton should be on your radar. I think it's $7.99 or $9.99 in the store right now. There you go. So Truxton is my first. I would say, if I'm going ranking order, this is probably actually my 3rd game on my list. I don't know why I put it up first. I'll go to my 5th next, okay? My number 5 game, I'll do a countdown now, right? Wonder Boy, the Dragon's Trap. I love this game a lot. Old school Sega game, actually, too. So this is actually the 3rd game in the series, I believe, Wonder Boy, the Dragon's Trap. So, however, this is the modern remake from .emu. What's cool about this, you saw that in the video, too, in case you didn't notice it. It is a 1-to-1 remake of the original game, so you can switch between the modern art style as well as the retro art style, as well as the music. You can change between the retro music and the modern music on the fly during gameplay. There you go, switching back. So it is a 1-to-1, switching back and forth. You can do that live during gameplay whenever you want. There's different characters you can see. This is actually a dragon. However, he's kind of more of an alligator, right? Because he shoots fire underwater. I'm not really sure game logic, right? However, it's a huge full-length story. Great artwork, great soundtrack, great characters, right? Some of the characters have different moves, right? The dragon alligator can swim and fire. However, there's different characters later on when you play as the bird. You can actually fly. There's a lion character as well, too, as like brute strength. So it's a great game to pick up. Very long storyline as well, too. It does have saves and everything like that, too. So if you're an RPG fan, this is one of my favorites on the system. I do play this, and I still actually played this. I think I played this 2 weeks ago, weirdly enough, which is great. Let's see here. So we talked about Truxton. We talked about Wonder Boy, the Dragon's Trap. Another one. This is my 4th, I would say, actually, too. Under Truxton. Just under Truxton comes in for me. Beat 'em up. Shadow Force, right? So Shadow Force was overlooked for sure in the arcades back in the day. However, shouldn't have been, right? This is a Japanese game as well, too, which I love even more, right? We love the games that we don't know about sometimes, right? So Shadow Force is fantastic. Just because, one, you can see the gameplay is phenomenal, right? 4 different characters to choose from. They have very different abilities. You can actually absorb enemies throughout it, so you can actually take different powers from different enemies as well, too. Very similar to, let's see, oh my gosh, I can't even think of the name of the game anymore, too. It'll come to me, don't worry about it. Anyway, Techno's Japan game, you can see there. This is a great classic beat 'em up. It is online available right now as well for us on the iiRcade, which is great. But in between each level, I like this game particularly because in between each level, you actually take on a fighter. It turns into a fighter instead of a beat 'em up, and you actually fight your partner, essentially, right? So I like that aspect of the gameplay. It is between each level. It's fantastic, right? And with that, let me actually close out something on my computer real quick because it's bugging me, because it's flashing me. There we go. Sorry. But yes, so check out Shadow Force if you haven't. It's fantastic beat 'em up. Love this game a lot. And again, it is online, so if you do have some friends with iiRcades, play with them. So that's my 5, 4, and 3 picks, right? Really, it's my 3, 5, and 4 pick. However, here's my number 2, right? My number 2 of all time on the system right now, Heavy Smash. Again, highly underrated game. This game is online as well too. I love playing this game. King Creole destroyed me when I was on the live stream for the iiRcade Zone. I need to play a lot more again too. What's great is that this is a head-to-head game, right? So much like a game like Windjammers, very fast-paced. It's basically like it's rugby, football, kind of soccer at the same time. More like I'd call it like rugby handball, right? It says extreme handball is in the title, right? So that's really what it is. It's extreme handball. So if you ever watch the Olympic handball, kind of like that. But yeah, you do power up and then you can do different moves. You can actually throw back the goalies and stuff like that. So explosions, there you go, getting hit like that. But on top of that, the team that you choose drastically matters in this game too. You've got like the Australian team, which is the women's team. They're hyper fast, low power. And then you've got other teams. I think the US team is high power, low speed. And then there's teams that are balanced, things like that. But yeah, so different teams that you choose matter a lot in this game too. It gets crazy competitive. I'm excited for tournament brackets in online someday, right? So that's really what I'm looking forward to. This is Heavy Smash, Hyper Handball. Again, online already too. This is my second favorite game right now on the cabinet. And then let's talk about my number one, right? My number one game on the cabinet. As many of you might know if you watched me for a while. Again, I'm a high score chaser. Congo Bongo, the most brutal game of all time, in my opinion, is Congo Bongo. Congo Bongo is one, it's 3D, it's isometric view, which is difficult to get used to at first, right? Especially playing with a left, right, up, down joystick. So that is something to be aware of. However, sort of looks like a Donkey Kong, right? Kind of style, right? Different gameplay though, however. You are climbing around. There's different enemies like the monkeys in this, as well as snakes later on. There's hippos you got to jump onto. There's rhinos that chase after you. You can jump into holes for bonus points. So this stage, it cycles through 4 different stages where you have to get to the gorilla. And then after you finally get to the final gorilla, you light them on fire. You throw them into a pot, you light them on fire, and that's it, right? You beat them, and then you cycle back through. They throw in more enemies. It gets harder and harder with each cycle. This is absolutely a high score chasing game. It's so brutal and unforgiving, and I like it just for that exact reason. It is literally one of my favorite arcade games of all time, and I didn't even know it before I joined the company. So there you go, Congo Bongo. It's been available for a while now too. You'll probably still see my name on the high scoreboards. However, I definitely got to update it, and I got to play this game a little bit more again soon. So there you go. That is my top 5 game, because you guys ask me that all the time. So there you go. That's my top 5 on the system, currently available at least, right? Okay, let's see here. Questions about these games here. Yeah, I didn't say Donut Dodo is number 1. However, Donut Dodos is up there for me for sure. But these are definitely my number 1s right now. All right, questions on these games that I can answer. I can give you so much info on these games because I've played them so much. Yeah, Congo Bongo, agree to disagree. Yeah, again, you got to be a glutton for punishment if you won on the Congo Bongo leaderboards like me. An absolute glutton for punishment. All right. Now the questions on these, which is great too. With that, let's go into our next topic, right? So a lot of people ask me all the time, P-Dub's asking the real questions here. Now, my top 5 that have not been released yet. Yeah, clearly I can't answer that today. But yes, there is a game at least that hasn't been released yet that I'm aware of that is probably within my top 5 easily of all time. But yeah, we'll talk more about that whenever we can talk about that, right? Let me just grab a drink here because I'm going to lose my voice potentially. All right, with that, always stay hydrated with your coffee, right? That makes no sense, but sure, why not? Let's see here. I haven't been looking at the questions, so we'll do more Q&A. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, with that, I do see some questions sometimes here about licensing, right? We can talk a little bit about licensing, what I can actually talk about to you, right? So I do see this question all the time too, or I do see these comments all the time where it's like, why would you waste your time and money with this game? Why would you waste your time and effort with this game and that game, right? It's not the case. You guys really don't know how licensing works on our end. We're a very different system, right? iiRcade is an arcade. It's a home arcade console, right? It's a concept that hasn't been done before in any sense. You think it sort of has, it kind of hasn't, right? We're kind of a mix of a lot of different things, right? You can notice us sort of as a competitor with one company and a competitor with another type of company that's drastically different. Sure, that's how it goes, right? But we're sort of by nature in our own little area treading brand new waters. So that's why a lot of times it can be difficult for us to get different games that you guys might be looking for, right? I do see these games all the time. I guarantee you that there's a game posted in chat. I have probably looked into it. Can we get it? Maybe down the road. Maybe we already have it. I can't ever say that as well too until we can talk about it, right? So it's great that you guys do post that. However, make sure that your comments are always geared towards, not a positive or a negative necessarily, but, like you want this game. I like this game for that reason. Cool. I'll look into it. I do that all the time anyway. But more than likely, I have already looked into it. Doesn't mean it's not coming. Doesn't mean we haven't already signed it. And it doesn't mean that it's a yes either, right? So because of that, because we're in a different sort of system, right? iiRcade's more of a journey versus a destination platform, right? So as a product specifically, we are, right? You don't just buy this and then it's one and done. You can always add games to it. There's always new features and new things coming to it, right? Especially with our software specifically, we update this nonstop. You guys can see, right? That's the one thing we have full control over is our software, right? Not games necessarily, however, the software, the firmware inside the machine, right? Games themselves, we have to work with developers and work with licensing companies, right? That's how they work. Because of that, it takes time. Some games are developed in-house. It's rare. However, we do develop some games in-house. Most games that we're waiting on, like current games, a lot of times too, they're developed out of house, right? By other modern developers, right? They work in systems they work in game engines like Unity, like an Unreal, like GameMaker, Godot, things like that, right? They port over very easily to our system. That's why it's great. So a lot of these titles that we have signed, the developers work on them. We're not even their publisher, technically speaking. A lot of times we have to go through their publisher to get these games as well, right? That's how it works. So there's sort of a middleman in there too. Always makes it even more fun, right? So because of that, it's not up to us to push that developer. We do, of course, push them as much as we can. However, we don't have a lot of say in when the game gets done and completed, right? It's the unfortunate nature of the beast. That's how it goes sometimes. I can't just yell at somebody because that's not going to work. They're not going to like that contract. They're not going to want to work with us anymore, right? Nobody wants that. You want these games and you want them to come, and you do want them to come in a timely manner, of course, but we can only do so much to push a developer. It's up to them, right? Beyond that, of course, the arcade games themselves, we do a lot of that tooling in-house ourselves. So those, however, takes timing for a different reason, right? There's a lot of approvals and a lot of games that come with that too. You have to build slowly. You have to work on the brand. You have to work with that company to go over time. It's a slow building process, right? Again, this is a journey, not a destination for us. So because of that, it does take time to get a lot of these old school arcade games too. Something you might think that is easy, never is. It's never that simple. Logically, it always makes sense, right? This game would fit perfectly on a platform. Boom, let's bring it over. Sure, why not? Easier said than done, right? And it's not always because of development time or anything like that too. It could be for one reason or another. Maybe that developer got sick for a while and they can't work on the game. Maybe the developer has something else going on in their life, right? Life happens sometimes. That's just the way it works, right? Because we're a newer platform specifically, it is difficult sometimes for us to really push developers, right? So we're getting more and more every day. It's great. We love seeing that. However, it still takes time for them to really learn our system and how to develop for us, which is totally normal, right? So it's a different system entirely compared to a modern console or an actual arcade cabinet. We're kind of in the middle, right? It's a new thing. People need to get used to it. So because of that, just keep that in mind with finding games and stuff. Yes, we talk to developers every single day. That's a huge portion of my job is talking to our developers, keeping them, motivated and on track and things like that too. However, we do reach out to developers nonstop as well. That's also a big part of what we do here. So just keep that in mind. So when you're making all these comments, you want this game, you want that game, or this game's never coming. You don't know that. So there's plenty of games that we do have in the hopper right now. However, development just takes time. I can take some licensing questions in this nature of things, if that makes sense, right? So if you guys have any questions, pop them in the chat right now too. Put some question marks in front of them. Put some asterisks in front of them. Let me actually see them. I probably missed some other questions too. Let me see here. Yeah, here we go. So Don Gloopy, also a name I've never seen. So welcome to the iiRcade family if you've never been here. So how is this process different than any other platform? Right. It's a fantastically fair question, right? So again, because we're in the middle of things, we're not a 16:9 ratio, which is what a modern developer is used to working in, right? A normal TV ratio, right? 16:9, usually about 2K. 2K resolution is typical, right? We're a 5:4 arcade style monitor, right? That's an adjustment for the game. That can take time. Maybe it's as easy as just divvying up the, setting around the user interface and then changing the buttons around. That's pretty much it. We do make it as easy as possible, right? Our controller scheme works with general gamepad controllers, right? An Xbox or PlayStation controller. Super easy for a developer to do that because they don't have to usually make changes. Just changing the UI icons in game, super easy, right? However, changing that aspect ratio doesn't always work in favor, right? If a game is heavily designed for that and it needs that screen space, there's only so much you can do sometimes. Sometimes it's black bordered. Sometimes they add other things in there, right? Like a border on top, an artistic border, right? So that's another way that they do that. So that's why we're sort of in a different platform than normal development, if that makes sense. That's a big part of it, at least. And then on top of that, of course, our specs, our system specs. You have to get used to that. However, developers that we talk to, they know our system specs and things like that too. You can actually find that on our website. We're super open about that. But yes, that's sort of how it's different. And on top of that, people aren't used to seeing an arcade console. That is not a term that has existed before us, right? Not in a realistic sense, right? We have an online game store. People look at this cabinet behind me, instantly think, oh, it's a Dragon's Lair cabinet. It just has Dragon's Lair, or maybe it has Dragon's Lair 2 and Space Ace on it, right? That's what we're used to. We're trying to get people out of the mentality. It takes time to educate people with that. That's really the hurdle here, right? That's why we're really different than any other platform. People aren't used to looking at an arcade style machine and saying, oh, there's a whole game store for it that I can pick and choose the games that I want and download straight to the machine. Huge hurdle that we're always continuously working over and that we're marketing towards, right? So that's why once we get people hooked onto that, that's why. So keep that in mind. We are an arcade console. We say that for a reason. So yeah, there you go with that. Let me see here. So I can't speak to certain games licenses, of course, too, but I can touch on some of these questions a little bit more, a little bit deeper, right? We'll take like 2 more of these here. So say a highbrow title, right? Or a highbrow company, right? A very big end AAA company you might consider, right? We have the difficulty sometimes, right? Of you might see some other arcade cabinets in the wild too, for home arcade specifically, right? They'll have a certain list of games on that cabinet, right? Because that company wants to put these games on that cabinet and that's it, right? You might not be able to put game A with game B on a cabinet, right? Because maybe these 2 companies don't work together well, right? That's a difficulty that we have to overcome that some other companies may not have to, right? It doesn't make it impossible. It just means it's a little bit of extra hoops that we have to jump through a lot of times too. So, and with that, again, we're new, we're a startup. We're only 1.5 years to actual market, right? So with that comes time with growth. Companies want to check us out more, right? It's a high risk scenario sometimes with them, right? But now we're over 1.5 years too. So now we're getting more traction. It's great to see that. And with that does come more games too. And with that, we get more licenses from companies that we work with right now, as well as building new relationships. That's how it works. Yep. Okay, let's see here. I'll take one more question for licensing. We've been here. Exclusivity question. Have you been in talks with developers to have exclusivity on iiRcade? Sometimes, yeah. Some developers do approach us and want to have exclusivity too. We do have at least 1 or 2 games on the platform right now too that will be exclusive, which is cool. Usually it's just because the developer wants to do that, honestly. Or a lot of times they just want to make a game for an arcade and we're the option for them, right? Which is great. That's what we like to see. We love to see those games that are geared towards an arcade. I mean, like Donut Dota is a perfect example, right? We keep bringing it up over and over again right now, but it's a perfect example of a game that just belongs on an arcade, but it's made in a modern day, right? So games like that, those developers, a lot of times they do sort of want to make it more exclusive to us. And a lot of times we don't even have to pay exclusive rights to that, which is fantastic, right? That's what I like, when I don't even have to pay for it, right? It's just like, cool, you have a cool system, let's do it. And we're getting more and more of that, which is fantastic to see. So yes, exclusivity does happen. And other companies try to box us out of other licenses, right? That's how it goes too. It's the nature of the beast in business sometimes. However, again, it doesn't mean that we're not getting certain games. And it doesn't mean that they can't come later on down the road too, right? We have to develop these relationships. They're relationships, right? Just like you're dating somebody, right? Or you're in a marriage, right? It takes time. You have to build this repertoire with them, right? It doesn't just happen instantly. Yeah, some people do say stay away from AAA. Other people say I only want AAA, right? I see it day and night, right? This is our conundrum as an arcade console. We know. We see it every day. So we're going after all types of games, right? Keep in mind, we're a console. How many other consoles do you have, or how many games on say, like on PC and stuff like that you have that you just see scrolling by all the time too, and you're like, I'm never going to buy this game, or I'm definitely going to buy this game, or this game's a maybe, right? You might add it to a wish list, right? Things like that. So keep that in mind. We are a console, right? And as we continue to grow, it's still going to keep happening for sure. Not every game is going to be for everybody, and it's not intended to be, right? And every game might be a great AAA title for some people, and other people have no idea what this game is. Just make it a bad game, just make it a good game. Just means something you might not have tried yet, right? And I definitely highly encourage you to check out some of these games. And with that, let me actually go into something else real quick too. Let me bring on my list here. Hold on. So I do have here like a list of games I threw together for some of you newcomers specifically, right? A lot of you guys have been here for a bit too, but some of you are newer to the system again, right? some of these games are just hidden, buried below hundreds of games now, right? So, and they're hard to find. So these are some of the games that I would highly suggest picking up. Let me go through this list really quick. So I threw this together earlier today. This is about 50 or 60 games right now too that are available on the platform, on iiRcade right now, on the store right now that you can pick up and play. A lot of these games are now online as well too, or they have global leaderboards and stuff. So if you like any of these kinds of games, these are just some of my favorites on the system, to name a few, right? So here we go. Alien Storm, Andro Dunos, Another World, Big Striker, Breaker's Revenge, Burger Time, Dragon's Lair series, Crackdown, Dark Seal 1 and 2, Dead Cells, the ColecoVision Collection, Donut Dodo, the Double Dragon series, Elevator Action Returns, Evolution Soccer, Data East, Hoops 96, In the Hunt, Jet Pen Arcade, Kung Fu Master, Load Runner series, Magical Drop series, Mad Mania, Mayhem Brawlers, Neo Drift Out, Night Slashers, Oddmar, Outzone, the R-Type series, Rage of the Dragons, Jalico Rally Big Run, Rangok Skies, the Rastan series, Retromania Wrestling, Riptide GP Renegade, Rising Hell Arcade Edition, Shadow Dancer, The Legend of Shinobi, Snow Bros 1 and 2, Space Harrier, Data East Stadium Hero 96, The Strikers 1945 series, Sydney Hunter, The SCNX, Combat Tribes, Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove, Tropical Angel, US Championship B-Ball, Windjammers, East Chronicles, Zero Wing. Okay, and with that, there's over 60 games right there on that list, right? And those are all games that I highly recommend. Those are great games. I think that pretty much anybody who buys an arcade-style cabinet is going to enjoy those games. So pick them up if you haven't. If you're new here, there's a lot of them. Feel free to rewind this video later on and go through again. But yeah, all of those games to me are fantastic titles. And most people are going to agree with that, honestly. So if you like playing games, you really can't go wrong with those. There's very different styles of games in that, of course, because again, we can do a lot of cool things on this that nobody else can, right? Full-length RPGs like the Yeast Chronicles on this, nobody ever expects that kind of thing on an arcade, right? But it plays perfectly here. And I love that kind of thing. I love doing that kind of thing. And of course, we like those classic style games too. In the Hunt is one of my favorite shoot 'em ups that I never played growing up, right? That's a banging IREM game too. Who has a submarine shooter game? Only IREM. It's fantastic. So things like that, check them out. Highly recommend all those games too. Some of them are classics you already know about probably. Others are modern games that exist only in our system. So it's fantastic. With that, let's see here. No Heavy Smash. Yeah, because I talked about Heavy Smash, Congo Bongo, and Shadow Force, and Wonder Boy, and Truxton already, or else I would have included them in that list as well too. But yes, those are games that I personally play all the time too. Those are my top favorites too. Those top 5. Zhongpong. Gosh, I always get Zhongpong. You know what? While we're here, let's talk about Zhongpong. All right, here. Because I am technically the developer of Zhongpong. It's been a while. I have a lot of other projects and games included that I'm working on for the system, right? With that, I've kind of gotten sidetracked on Zhongpong. If you guys really want me to release Zhongpong, I will release Zhongpong to you, probably for free, with just the bare minimum of what it is too. It's not going to have the story mode that I was working on. However, base core mechanic gameplays, there's about 10 different game modes in that, which are a variety of Pong, right? For 2 players, right? As well as base AI, right? So I would expect that. But yeah, I could potentially release that for free. If you guys really want Zhongpong to release like sort of immediately, I can probably do it for free, honestly, too, because it's Pong for the most part. Well, it's Pong with different game mechanics. So keep in mind, there's like 10 different variants for that. So yes, if you guys do want that, let me see in the chat right now here too. Yes, if you want Zhongpong, I can release it very soon. How about that? I can't say necessarily when, but like in the upcoming weeks, I just got to tear out some stuff to it. And then, that's pretty much it. +1 for Zhongpong. Yes, please. Okay. Okay, fine. All right. Maybe I'll do it very soon then. All right. How about that? Cool. All right. With that, some other topics today, right? So, yeah, story mode would be awesome. But again, story mode is what set it back for a while too. And I have other development projects that going on that I need to address first before I can keep going into that too. So maybe I'll release a different version of the game later on, or not just Zhongpong, but I'll call it something else. And it'll be an entirely different game with game modes and stuff like that too. Of course, I've always wanted like an online Pong. It's sort of more of where I was headed with it as well too. However, it just takes more time. All right. But yeah, if you guys want like a base level Pong sort of style game with other kind of game modes in it, yeah, we can talk about doing that. Yeah, we'll see what I can do since it sort of already exists. But yes. Okay. What else do we have going on here? So golds update too. So yes, golds are continuing to ship. There's another shipment of golds going out. So golds are on their way, of course. Just a small update on that. With that, beyond shipping, that's really all I can tell you, right? So, of course, the only ones out in the wild right now, too, are review units or units that are there for other purposes, right? For hardware manufacturing and stuff like that, too, with companies that we're partnered with to work with. Beyond that, still waiting a little bit, too. It's still forecasted to be sort of end of this month, early next month, right? So if you are in the first pre-orders of the gold, especially, if you ordered early on, it's looking like sometime very early August is still looking good. So just as heads up to that. And then, of course, with the orders that were in the beginning of the pre-orders, right? So if you did order pretty early on too, the shirts and the hoodies and the plaques and stuff, those are getting sent out as soon as I get the shirts and the hoodies here and we send them out. So those are actually going to come in probably about next week or two, and then they'll be sent out to you. So keep an eye out for that as well too. I don't know that those will necessarily get tracking notices or not, because we're actually physically packing them here in the office. It's not like the actual machines themselves getting sent to you where they go, from the factory to the boats and then to the warehouse and to you. This is very different. This is us just shipping through like FedEx from the office. So we do this by hand. So with love from the iiRcade CS team, right? So there you go. Yes, keep an eye out for that. Just an update on gold for you. And then that's pretty much it. That's all I've got for today. I can do some Q&A. So if you do have questions, comments, concerns, things that I didn't touch on, I feel like I've touched on a lot today. We've been going for a half an hour. I'll take a couple more questions and we'll call it a day. Let's see. Some folks have Space Invaders codes. Can we get some? That's only P-Dubs had a code because he was sent a Space Edition, Space Invaders cap. Yeah. So Space Invaders cabs do come with Space Invaders activation codes in them on the back of the manual. Yes. And that is a unique code, by the way. It's a one and done code. So once it's used, he can't just give that out to everybody. So just so you know, it is a randomly generated code. You can't just give out this code. So it works once. That's it. It's just like any other console system that gives out game codes. That's how it works. Or even when you buy like a physical edition of the game nowadays, they really there's not even a disc half the time. They just send you a code inside of the physical box, which is crazy. But yeah, welcome to games now. All right. Anything else? Any other pressing questions? Yes, remove the Etsy listing. Sweet. How difficult would it be to get Recharge Series games? I really can't talk about potential partners and things like that too. I can't really say. Have we looked into the Recharge Series? Yes, of course we have. We'd be dumb not to, right? We're not dumb. I know what games that you guys are looking for and things like that too. And of course we have high expectation games that we're looking for as well too on our own. Stay tuned on that kind of stuff later on this year, right? Again, we're moving in the second half of the year now. Goals are starting to roll out. Now we're starting to sort of get ready, right, for things. So there are still games. We have licensed games coming out later on this year, right? So we're working on that. Of course, we're working on other things like accessories products, right? With accessories potentially could come other things that you guys don't know about yet, right? We might just have to wait until we can talk about those in order to actually display them to you, right? So there you go. A little hint at that stuff. Let's see. Yes, the leaderboards again. Leaderboards, I know. Leaderboards are getting worked on currently. Again, if they're down or getting duplicate names, yes, I'm very aware of this. They're being switched over to a different system entirely right now too, which is a back-end thing that we're working on very, very rapidly right now too. So in the upcoming weeks, or honestly about a week or two, they should be back to normal again, which is great. But yes, something that we are working on is global leaderboards. Yep. Let's see. This is a great question from P-Dubs Arcade Loft. Michael, if you could change the iiRcade user interface, what would you like to see changed? Favorites list is nice, of course, because we've all wanted favorites for a while now, honestly. But what would you do for it to make it better? Honestly, usability is pretty okay already too. It's mostly just a facelift, which is great too. And of course, I want to take things out. I don't like that you have to. My big thing is online play right now too. I don't like that you have to double click in order to get to a game currently. So that's something that we'll work on for sure in the UX, right? Not single button press to launch game kind of thing, or single button press to get to the mode that you want. That's my big pet peeve with UX usually. So that's something that we'll work on in that for sure. 100%. I can tell you that. Beyond that, everything else is pretty okay, right? Just the facelift. It's really, I'm an artist myself. I'm a designer myself, right? I like things to look good. So I know it looks sexy and attractive. So we'll work on that. Don't you worry. But yeah, my big one is a single button click to get to where you want to go. That's really what it is. And of course, better ways. My big thing with the UI UX, of course, too, is better ways to connect everybody together, right? For people to make friends, right? For people to make friends in the system and not have to go outside the system to do stuff. That's the other thing too. I like not having to go outside of the cabinet to do things. So that's a big part of it too. Adding the game store onto the machine, big one for me, right? Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit in the past too. So yeah, it's a great question. I'll take one more. I'll take one more question for the day, and we're cutting it. Let's see here. Search function. If you're talking about search function on the machine, maybe that's a little trickier. I don't know how that would honestly play out and look. So maybe. Let me think about that though. I'll take that in consideration, Ritual Delo. If you're talking about on the store though, of course we do have it on the store too. Also with store mentions too, there should be an update for the store very, very soon, coming next week likely. Again, we've talked about this before. I thought it was going to be earlier on. It's taking a little bit more time than normal, but an online filter for the store and online search to make it a lot easier to find online enabled games, right? That's on the store itself. So there you go. But yeah, search feature on the system itself. Interesting one that hasn't really been brought up too much. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to think about that and what it would actually end up looking like, right? There's always a little bit of different caveats and things and situations that I have to worry about for people. Again, that's sort of the tricky thing. We are a software platform, right? Because of that, there's a lot of moving pieces that I have to pay attention to nonstop, right? If user X does this, and then all of a sudden they also do this and that, and then user B does this, and then they also do this and that, then they get two different scenarios that I have to watch out for and limit and things like that too. So those are things that we have to take into account all the time too. It's a lot of moving parts, and we have to make sure everything is unified and working together and make sure that we're not breaking things at the same time, right? Every time we add new games and add new features and stuff, I do have to recheck a lot of things with the QA team. We have to go over a lot of things nonstop just to make sure that they fit functionally into the system and we're not breaking things that weren't broken in the past, because sometimes that happens, right? These are things that we specifically have to worry about as a console kind of platform versus like a one and done kind of product, right? So that's sort of, again, a differentiator that we always have to be working to do these things. There's a lot of different headaches that we have to go through just because of the nature of the beast. So that's how it goes. Software's fun. But yeah. Add a search. Maybe. Okay. We'll see. I'm not promising a search feature on the store one day or on the machine one day, but maybe, yeah, no. If you guys really want a search feature, that's something that we can potentially look into. Yeah, absolutely. Good feedback. All right. Yes, I know sort of what you want for a look and feel of the UX UI. Don't you worry. I'll take care of you. Again, a lot of people, yeah, look of the machine itself kind of blends into that, right? Especially the artwork on the machine. It's good. We know what we're doing with that. Don't you worry. Okay. With that, I don't know if that was a question necessarily or not too. I'll take one more. We'll call one more. One more, and then it's Friday night, right? Let's see. What is the Ghost Lady's problem in White Knight? You have to play the story to find out. Okay. There you go. There's a very good reason that the Ghost Lady is mad at you in that game. And you'll find out if you play White Knight. Yeah, White Knight's a very unique game to our system as well, too. If you never checked it out, it's good for Halloween time or like a dark and stormy night. White Knight's a cool one. It's not quite your typical arcade game for sure. It's a high, slow kind of story. Very much just a story-based game, right? So cool, though. I like that game a lot. Great ambient atmosphere, too. The speakers, especially with JBL now, blow it out of the water for that, too. It's like being in the game. Let's see here. I can't talk about licenses we don't have or licenses we haven't announced yet. I can't talk about those, of course, per usual. Ask in the chat. If I would like to have any question asked in the chat, what would it be? I have no idea. If I could have any question asked to me right now in the chat, I have no idea. Honestly, My brain gets pulled in 20 different directions as a producer nonstop. I have a lot of teams to talk to. A lot of questions get run through the office nonstop. A lot of questions get run through here nonstop. Yes, on the forums, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch. Yeah. Okay. I think we're good. I think we're good on questions. I don't see anything else really popping up that I can see. Let's see here. Which Loves Bullets, also a great game. Yes, let's see. I see that, SJ. Thank you. All right. With that, oh, wait, here. MCAP's Corner Arcade. Mike's asking, can you talk about the sub out feature on the iiRcade Gold? Yeah, it's exactly that. It's a 3.5 millimeter cable. I forget what it is. I always forget too. We have the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on the front still. That's its own thing. So don't be confused with that, by the way. Yes, but there is a sub on the back that, yes, you can plug a subwoofer into. Yeah, that's there. That is Gold specific behind you. Again, Gold is a different board. For that reason, there's, a couple extra ports, right? We talked about Ethernet. Sub is there. Some other ones too, right? The USB, of course, is another one. And I think that's pretty much it too. And of course, it's a 2-in-1 board too. Audio pathing is very different on that too. That's why JBL is on that board specifically. That's a fine tune for the audio path on that motherboard specifically. Gold, again, is a different board. It's unfortunately just how it works. For those of you who have the standard edition unit, there's going to be some upgrades. This is how it goes. But again, things like extra controls, peripherals, and things like that too, we are working on those for Bluetooth as well, so that you're not missing out on that kind of stuff too. We're trying to keep these as up to date for both the standard and the Gold as possible, right? We can only do so much hardware wise, but software wise, we're trying not to lose you in the dust there too. If you don't want to pick up a Gold, I get it. I understand. Not everybody can afford to pick up a new machine every year or two, right? I get it. I understand. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. Now, of course, I always get questions when I start talking again, right? I just need to cut it soon. Let's see here. Yes, games are in the hopper. Don't you worry. All right, we'll cut it. We'll cut it there. Okay, we talked about so much about games already today too. Let's see. If the iiRcade team starred in a drama game, if the iiRcade team starred in a game, what genre would it be? I mean, we got enough shmups already. I mean, probably a beat 'em up or a fighter. I'd like to see a fighter, right? Maybe Zhang can beat me up, or like Mincha can beat me up. I think that'd be fun to do. But yeah. Bash Bowling Billy's got his dad in that game too. McLaughlin Sr. is in that game as well as Zhang's in that game too. So technically speaking, there's sort of some iiRcade going on already, which is cool. There you go. But yes, again, I can't talk about games we don't have. But yes, more games are coming. We have more licensed games. We have other games too. And of course, rewind the video. I talked about it earlier too. Games take time. This system is a journey. This is not a destination, right? We have to keep building slowly over time. That's how it goes. It's just how it goes. We have to build our relationships. Games are not instant for us. We are a very unique platform, and companies look at us as a very unique platform as well too, which makes it both great and terrible for us at the same time, right? It just takes more time. It takes more time for us to develop these relationships. It takes more time for us to talk to these people and bring you the games that you kind of are looking for, especially too. But in the meantime, we already have all these games that I just showed off today already too. There's over 60 games right there on one single machine, right? Most of them are online. Most of them have global leaderboards. There you go, right? Have some fun with those for the meantime. And of course, we're working on more and more games, and try some things that you might not have played yet. That's always my best suggestion, right? Look at those games that you might be like, I wonder what that game is. Try it out. 30-minute refund window, right? You can always do that. So there you go. With that in mind, I'm going to play you out with, let's go with today's attract mode actually too. I like this attract mode. Worked a little hard on this one. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see if we're live or not next week. I make no promises on my lives. It'll probably be back to it. I don't know. I don't know yet. Maybe we'll do a 10-minute show next week too. Maybe we'll be live again. Maybe. We'll see. Until then, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the questions today too. Thanks for, all the support and all that stuff like that too. Of course, we love being here, talking to you all the time. And I love seeing your questions. Yeah, stay vocal, but stay positive and also stay productive, right? Doing something just to bash on something doesn't help anybody. Just saying. So there you go. Have fun. Play some games. I'll see you all later on too. 7:30 p.m. CST, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, iiRcade Zone. The summer series is still going on. Win some prizes. Compete in the summer leagues. They're switching from, it was baseball this week, and now starting tonight will be Breaker's Revenge, right? We're back on fighting. I'm excited about that, right? So Breaker's Revenge is the new game for iiRcade Zone this week for Summer Series, right? So have fun with that, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.